So you know how when you like immigrate to the United States, like you have to pass a test to become a U.S. citizen?
A citizenship
We need to do
test?
that.
Yes.
That. We need to do that, but with nerdy media. So like you have to pass a Star Wars fan test before you can call yourself a Star Wars fan.
So are you saying like if you have like a bad Star Wars take, you should get deported from the fandom?
You're just not allowed to call yourself a fan.
Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest Podcast, a show where nerds talk about nerdy things. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Jackson Glass, coming at you today with movies we would preserve forever. We think this is going to be a super interesting conversation because this is not just our favorite movies or movies we want to see, our children watching, or, we want to, it's not that at all. It's what movies do we think we should preserve for future generations forever, and why. So we're very excited to get into that, but also we have some news about some Star Wars drama that went down recently with some higher ups. We're also going to talk about the Shrek 5 trailer and my musings watching Captain America Brave New World. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you so much for listening, and if you're enjoying, and we've gotten a lot of Spotify commenters coming up, so thank you so much for commenting. We love your comments, love all your engagement. If you're not following us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast, make sure you're doing that. On YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast, you can watch video versions of our amazing episodes, and all those links will be in the description where you can follow us and everywhere. I'm joined today by my ride or die, Mr. Nick Barrett, the host with the most, who is always sleep deprived. Mr. Nick Barrett, how are you today?
Sleep deprived, as the title would suggest.
Heck yeah.
I'm good. It's been like a tiring week, but at the same time, I couldn't tell you why. Because I couldn't tell you what I did this week, because the week just kind of flew by. And I think it's because we've been really busy at work. We've gotten a lot of new clients and stuff. So getting all of that organized has been a thing. But also, it's finally warm outside. As you can see, we broke out the hat today because I don't have to wear a beanie because my room is -10. Sorry, I heard a plane and I thought they were about to crash into my house, which, given the track record of planes this year, I don't know, might not be out of the realm of possibility.
Have you seen the joke where it's like 2024 and they're like, why are we clapping for the plane landing? Planes land all the time. It's like 2025 and he's like, oh we did it! Thank God! Oh.
You start clapping.
That's a little dark humor. Sorry.
But it's been warm, which means it's time for all the pollen to come out. Seasonal allergies are back in style.
So back,
it's
baby.
Gonna be great. So I've been dealing with that. But other than that, what have I been doing this week? Let's think. Well, we filmed a short film last weekend.
We did a short film last weekend.
Which was fun. I got to drive up there. I am knee deep in my Epic the Musical phase because it was like a 2-hour drive to get to Jackson, and I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let me, Epic the Musical is about 2.5 hours. Kind of fits perfectly with my drive. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to that on the way there and Hamilton on the way back. Because I feel like that kind of stuff that I can sing along to helps me get through the drive a lot faster.
Of course.
Or at least it feels faster. Mm-hmm. Which it did, because I blinked and the first hour of the ride was over and I was like, oh, we're already halfway here. So I listened to it on the way there, and then while we were filming, I kept humming, and some of the songs were stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. And on my way home, I was went to press play on Hamilton. And I was like, nah. And I listened to Epic on the way home too. And now I've been listening to Epic all week, and I have a playlist on Spotify that's called Epic Bangers, which is all my favorite songs, which is slowly just turning into the whole album. So at a certain point, I have to just switch over to the other album and skip the ones I don't like.
Your Wrapped,
so I've been doing
toast.
that. No, dude, my Wrapped was toast in January. It was over in January, and no, I'm it's the whole thing is going to be Epic the Musical. It is what it is. So What else have I done outside of that? I watched some anime, but that's normal. Worked on some videos. That's normal. I've started going back to doing some like creative writing, which is fun. I haven't gotten to do that in a while.
Big W's.
So it's also helped me stay motivated to get YouTube scripts done because I'm able to kind of put like a tangible, like, okay, if I get far enough ahead and I get caught up on this, I can then go do the creative writing. So that's kind of been a fun like little thing I've gotten into. But other than that, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I'll let you talk more about the short film because it's your short film.
Dude, I mean,
so go
Nick
ahead.
came over last weekend and we shot a short film. It was a script I was
Third
working
annual
on.
short film,
Third
baby.
annual short film, baby. Me and Nick were acting in it together, so it was super, super fun to be like on camera together. Honestly, kind of weird because I felt like we've never been characters with each other.
Right.
Like it was like normal because we're always together and like recording stuff and on camera, but like we were like not ourselves. So like it was super different in that way. So I'm very excited. That'll hopefully come out at some point. I'm hoping to get at least a little bit of a festival run out of it, but update to follow on that so you guys can watch it and get excited about it. So other than that, I mean, this week I built a new Lego set. If you're watching the video, you can see my new Mario Yoshi set behind me. Very, very nice. And then tomorrow, you said Hamilton. I'm going to see Hamilton tomorrow, and I'm very excited.
Forgot about that.
I'm very excited. And as of time of recording, by the time you're listening to it, I've already seen it, and I'll be weeping because of how good it is. So I'm very excited to get to do that tomorrow. I mean, we're working on a lot of music. I'm trying to get some YouTube scripts out. I'm editing the short film, and the deadline for that is rapidly approaching. So, yeah, that's that about that. I feel like I was going to say something else, and I cannot. Oh, what I've been watching, dude, we're watching Severance weekly, and I don't want to be dramatic. By the time of release, by the time of recording, by the time of release, the newest episode is Season 2, Episode 7. I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry. There are no spoilers. But all I will say is that Season 2, Episode 7 of Severance might be the best episode of television I've seen in my life. Like, if we are talking like a singular episode, like not in the context of a whole show, like not season, not series, singular episode. It was one of the most well-edited pieces of art I've ever seen in my life. Like, it is brilliant. So if you're not watching Severance, like, now is the time to hop on, because the second season has like 3 weeks left. Hop on Severance now. It is so worth it. I gotten right back into Breath of the Wild. I'm in my Breath of the Wild at night era, which I've been in for a while, but I'm making good progress on that. And it's just such a fun, like, sweet game. Like, I think even more so than Tears of the Kingdom, because it has that nostalgia factor where it's like all the sounds and the music, and like a lot of people play like Animal Crossing or Minecraft, or like, you know, Stardew Valley type, like, but no, Breath of the Wild is my like chill game. Just because, like, I know how it works so well, I don't have to think about it. And that's why it's such a decompressing activity for me. So, anyway, that's pretty much what I've been watching. But also, I'd like to do a few minutes on a movie that I went and saw this week. And that is Captain America, Brave New World. Now, let me set the scene for you. It's a Monday night, and I want to see this movie, right? So I tell Amy, I was like, okay, do you want to see this movie tonight? We have a gift card for the local movie theater we got for Christmas. Like, we've been like slowly using it. We're like, all right, it's a Monday night, which means it's not discounted movie day. We're going to have to pay full price. It's whatever. We'll just use our gift card. And I was like, oh, you can't use your gift card online. So we couldn't reserve seats. So we had to go in, and I was like, hey, we're going to have to go in a little early. Like, it's whatever. Like, if we have to sit in the back or like a little further up, it's not the end of the world. This isn't the movie. I'm going to die on that hill. So we show up 30 minutes early to this movie. We show up at 6:30, movies at 7. Literally the only people there. Literally the only, and I was like, sick, we got here early. Awesome. We sit down in the theater, 6:45, no one else there. We're sitting there. All right, okay. 6:55, no one else there. And I was like, oh, this is a little weird. 7 o'clock, one other couple comes in and sits on the end of our same row, which I was like, the whole theater is open, just sit in the middle, like a row behind us. But they apparently don't know about the best seats for best audio.
Most people don't.
So I guess that's just on me for thinking that Marvel could still sell out theaters on a Monday night. So I don't know. It was kind of surreal to be like, oh, this Marvel movie is not selling tickets. Like, it's like, oh, this used to be such a cultural phenomenon, and now I'm the only one in this theater watching it. As far as the movie itself goes, it was fine. It's like superheromovie.mp4. It's like, all of the standard tropes. Like, it wants to be like Winter Soldier so bad, but it just doesn't take the time to get there. And I think that, like, my biggest problem is Sam Wilson as Captain America is not the choice I would have made. I think Bucky is a much more compelling character to give the shield to, but they're like decided they want him in the Thunderbolts instead. And so it's just really like not the decision I would have made, because I think the Falcon is like a really awesome character, and the Falcon and Captain America should be different characters. And so like by combining them, you tried to make like the sidekick the main character, so now we kind of have to like make up all this backstory to like put him in that main character role, which he was never created to fit. And so it's really hard, because I think that like putting him in that role as Captain America without the super soldier serum kind of like kills the fun in a way, because that's why I love Captain America so much, was he was like rah rah USA, but he was like the big strong guy who could like beat down all these people. Like he was a super soldier, and he had such an compelling character arc and so much depth to him because of his past. Like he had that history of World War II and all this stuff, where like Sam Wilson, they tried to like give Sam Wilson the same level of and it just didn't really work. And so he's kind of a much more one-dimensional character who doesn't have superpowers. And that's part of the story is, oh, he doesn't have superpowers. He's trying to like, trying to deal with this. So they tried to spin it as like he's struggling that he doesn't have super soldier serum, but it didn't work. It was very just kind of thrown together. And so my question is like, okay, if he's just this guy that has a cool suit and cool tech and cool weapons, what makes him different than Iron Man? Like, he's just a less compelling, patriotic Iron Man at that point. He's like, the idea that that's Captain America is just fundamentally different than what we've been given the character that we've known and loved. And so I think a lot of people, which is no shade to Anthony Mackie, because he did very well in that movie. Anthony Mackie did great, and Harrison Ford did great. Their performances were actually very, very good in the movie. I just don't think his character was handled very well. And I don't necessarily think he was set up for success in this movie just by the way that they handled that transition of power. Pros, it was very like patriotic, like it was all in DC. I thought that worked really well. Big vibes, but also after watching the movie, I can tell you there is nothing new in the movie that you don't see in the trailer.
Ooh, that's hard.
It's rough, because their big reveal is Red Hulk at the end, and it's everything we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, and he's like very much a part of the marketing for this movie.
Yes. And so I was like, oh, so the final fight ended, and then the movie ended, and I was literally left saying, that's it? Like, that was it, because there was no, they like wanted it to be this huge shock factor, like Red Hulk is here, which it could have been, but I think they were just really, really scared that this movie wasn't gonna do well, and so they were like, we cannot risk anything, we need to pull them in and know that it's connected to the Hulk and it's gonna be connected to this and it's gonna be that, which like I still don't fully understand those connections. It was very muddy how that actually like wrapped all together. So essentially, if you like Captain America, like if you like the vibes, like it's fine. It's better than what they've been doing, but it's not even close to touching what we used to do with Captain America movies. And you could watch the trailer and know everything that happens in this movie, pretty much.
Yet another argument that movie trailers should be eliminated.
Gosh. I don't think they need to be eliminated. I think they need to be more intentional, because you need a trailer, but I don't think you need more than a teaser. If you can't reel me in with like a 30-second blip of the vibe, then I don't feel like your story is strong enough. Like you're doing something wrong.
Right. I mean, not to like completely change subjects, but they released like what I'll consider the final trailer for the Minecraft movie, because tickets went on sale, and that's usually the final trailer at this point. And I feel like the Minecraft movie is going to end up falling in a very similar category. I won't talk about it too much because I know you're trying to stay away from spoilers.
I mean, you can talk about it. I don't care.
There's stuff in it where I'm like, that would have been really cool if you saved it for the actual movie instead of showing it to us here.
I saw the chicken jockey clip.
Like,
that's what
there's
I saw.
that. There's Elytra. There's a couple other things, and I'm like, you could like, I don't know, you could have just could have saved it. I'm still, jury's still out on the Minecraft movie for me.
Right.
I'm like, I want it to be good. I really do. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, I feel like you're betraying every aspect of my childhood and every aspect of what I grew up on this game. And it doesn't even look like the Minecraft I grew up with. And it's this weird, like, live action CGI hybrid. And it's like, that's not what any of us grew up playing Minecraft.
No.
Like, it was all about the Minecraft animations. So, I don't know. We'll loop back around to the Minecraft movie at some point.
No, absolutely. But for now, it's news time.
News time. Wiki wiki wow. News time. Yeah.
Hit me with the first point that you were tasked with.
Can you tell me what it is? Because I don't have the sheet open. I know, I'm very professional.
It was a Star Wars one?
Yeah. Okay. So, Star Wars fans got hit with a big old bait and switch this week. And honestly, I think this is probably what ruined my week. Was tweet went out like Monday that said Kathleen Kennedy is set to retire by the end of 2025. And Star Wars fans everywhere rejoiced. They're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like, end of episode 6, like celebration, whatever. And then there's some people who were like, don't you understand? Kathleen Kennedy is not the one who makes the decisions at Lucasfilm. And I'm like, fact check. That's literally what the president of the company does. Is they make the decisions on what gets greenlit, what doesn't. They get to say, like, you can say, oh yeah, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, like, they have the say over the Mandalorian. That's true.
Right.
But if Kathleen Kennedy comes in and says, no, we need more Grogu screen time so that we can, sell more plush toys.
Right.
They have to do it. She's their boss.
Mm-hmm.
So she's had like her fingers in a lot of different Star Wars projects and a lot of different projects in general. So anyway, she said that on Monday, and then it came out yesterday. And this is like the bait and switch. She said she's not retiring, actually. She's producing several upcoming Star Wars projects. And she said, I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies, actually. Has started talking with Disney about a succession plan, and it could be a year before a decision is announced. Will stay at Lucasfilm to assist whoever takes over. And it's that last line that's like, so what you're telling me is you're going to find a successor who essentially turns into like a little puppet, and you're just going to pull an Emperor Palpatine and start manipulating that person to do all the same things you did, but then it's not technically your fault because it's this other person's fault. And it's like, or maybe Lucasfilm just needs to go in a completely different direction because what they're doing with Star Wars isn't working.
Nope.
Nope. And they need to pivot. Come on, guys. So, yeah, she pulled a nice little 1-2
punch. Because we were like, oh my gosh, Star Wars is back. And then it was like, also, like, how did that happen? Did she say something wrong? And like, it was like, oh, I'm switching roles, and then someone on the internet took that and translated it wrong, or what happened?
I'd like to think, based on my infinite knowledge of Kathleen Kennedy, which is zero, that she said she was going to retire and like meant that genuinely. Like, oh, I've spent my life, like last however many years of my life doing movies, like 40 something years, you know, at Lucasfilm. Right. It's been great. And then she saw the fan reaction on the internet where everyone's like, yeah, she's gone. Hooray! And was like, you know what? Actually, hold on. I'm not done. I'm still going to make movies. And I'm going to do this just to spite you. So
that is so real.
And it's like, I don't know. I can't attribute everything to Kathleen Kennedy. Like, it's not entirely her fault. She's made a lot of bad decisions, but it's also not entirely her fault.
Right.
But on the other hand, like, I don't know, fresh leadership never hurt anybody. I think the Disney company as a whole could use some fresh leadership across the board. I don't think I could name, like, one good Disney executive who's made a good decision in the last year.
Right.
Because, like,
so you're kind of like,
Bob Iger's on everybody's crap list. Bob Chapek doesn't work there anymore. Josh D'Amaro's on the crap list. Kathleen Kennedy's on the crap list. Kevin Feige's on the crap list because he's not doing anything good with Marvel. So it's like,
yeah,
maybe we should change things up.
It's like if you make one or two bad movies, it's like, okay, the wrong director, the wrong executive, something like some old white dude in a boardroom said, no, it needs more of this, and he was completely wrong at it. Like, sure, that happens. That's fair.
Yeah.
But the consistency
to be bad.
The terrible messaging and just terrible quality is not a lower level problem at that point. Like, that's not how this works. I'm curious to see how their movies move on going forward. Because she said that Taika Waititi's Star Wars film was looking for a new writer. Which, like, come on. I feel like every single Star Wars project we've talked about for the last year is like, yeah, we're doing this. Never mind. That didn't work. We're looking for a new writer. We're looking for a new director. We're canceling this. And I was like, what's the plan? Like, what's the plan?
I know we talked about this last year with, like, when we did our big, like, Star Wars retrospective.
Yeah.
And it just feels really weird that it's been 6 years in December since they've gotten like a Star Wars movie to theaters. And yes, I know they're re-releasing Revenge of the Sith in April. That doesn't count.
I saw the Phantom Menace in theaters.
As excited as I am for that, and I will be there day one because they're doing like 3D, 4DX, IMAX, normal. I'm like, all right, lock in. We going to all of them, every single one. That doesn't count because that's an old movie that was already made. They have not put a single new Star Wars movie in theaters in almost 6 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because the previous gap was, what, 10 years? Because it was 2005 to 2015.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But that was like...
That
one
was
a little more obvious. Like, that one was a little more obvious. It's like, oh,
like, it wasn't like you're actively trying to continue this movie franchise.
Right.
Because they had, like, the Clone Wars going, but that was it. So, to now be at a point where it's been 6 years almost since you've put out a theatrical Star Wars movie, after putting out 5 theatrical Star Wars movies, what happened? And every time you hear about a project, you know... Rian Johnson lost his trilogy. Taika Waititi has a trilogy but can't keep a writer. The Rey movie has had like 3 different writers and directors in the last year. Rogue Squadron got completely canceled and is gone. Lando Calrissian got turned into a show. The only thing they've been able to consistently do is the shows. And the shows, even then, have had like kind of back and forth on the quality. Like, I don't think Andor was very good. But the common consensus is that Andor was really good.
You watched it, right?
I got 3 episodes in and was bored out of my mind. And I was talking to one of my coworkers about it this week, and he was like, hey, it gets really good at like episode 10. And I was like, I shouldn't have to get 10 episodes into a show for you to tell me it gets good.
How many episodes are there?
12. I'm like, you're telling me I need to slog through 9 episodes before it actually gets good? No.
Okay. There's a difference because, like, if you look at Severance, which everything's going back to Severance because I'm obsessed, it takes a long time to get there. Like, it's like episode 5 or so, and the episodes are like almost an hour long. It's episode 5 before you have even an inkling of what is happening. But from the first 10 minutes, you're gripped and you're like, oh, this is phenomenal.
Right.
I want to see where this is going. But, like, there's a difference between that and I'm 3 episodes in and we have not established anything. Like, what are we doing here? So, I don't know. The Andor Season 2 trailer came out, and there was a lot of controversy over that, too. So, I'm kind of disconnected from that. A lot of people said it looked really bad and that the story wasn't going in the right direction. So,
I don't know. I don't care.
I'm not.
This is the thing that sucks about being a Star Wars fan is there's nothing interesting for me to be excited for except a re-release of a 20-year-old movie.
I feel like Andor has its own separate fan base at this point. Like, there's Star Wars fans and then there's Andor fans. Like, I don't get it.
See, but the Andor fans will say it's the other way around. They'll say there's Star Wars fans and then there's just, like, tourists who are like, well, if you don't like Andor, you're not a real Star Wars fan.
Right.
I'm like, well...
It's like, okay...
If we go back to what like classic Star Wars is, it's about the space wizards and the lightsabers. So am I a bad person for just wanting more space wizards and lightsabers? Like,
come on.
I don't know, man.
Does everything have to be about fascism? Come on.
Dude, this is on topic and I won't stay on it too long because we need to move on.
Right.
But it drives me insane to no end when I see like Star Wars fans, right? I put fans in air quotes because I think we need to go back.
You have to like something to be a fan.
Yeah, no, I think we need to go back to gatekeeping, like the nerd space. I think opening, like everyone, okay, nerds got bullied in high school, right? Like when they were in school, like way back in the day, even before we were like born.
Right.
They got bullied for being into their little nerdy interests like Star Wars and Marvel and the whole shebang. And then eventually society said, okay, wait. These nerds are kind of cool. They're kind of chill. Like, their interests aren't that bad. So then the nerds said, you know what? You guys come in. Let's enjoy. Like, anyone can get into whatever. False. False. There should be an IQ test to get into anything. I'm really sick and tired of people who don't understand the content coming in and calling me a bad fan. Because they're like, well, you don't understand the 7 layers of political discourse and how this actually relates to this level of politics. I'm like, shut up, dude. It's a movie about space wizards fighting a war. It's literally not that deep.
Yeah.
I'm really, because Dude, I've had to get off Twitter. This has not been a good week for me on Twitter.
And there's something to say for just like expanding on that point. It's like, even if it is that deep, don't be a butthole about it.
Yeah.
Like because there is a lot of deep political commentary, especially in the prequel trilogy.
Yes,
that's all very
100%.
good. Super good, right? But don't talk to me like I'm stupid if that's not why I like Star Wars.
Right.
Like,
or if, like, I don't want to make the
me.
connection that the current sitting president of the United States is Emperor Palpatine. I'm not a fascist, okay? I'm just trying to enjoy Star Wars. You get, like, movies are
There's
up for
so
interpretation.
much, like, holier than thou. Like, it's not...
and it frustrates me because these are all people who, like, came in with the Disney Plus shows. And I'm like, good for you that you were able to get into it. But, like, don't stand up there and lecture me when I've been here since I was, like, 5. Okay,
Right. Don't cite the text to me, which I was there when they were written.
Exactly.
Literally.
Bring back
Oh my
gatekeeping
gosh.
media. That's the end of the story. It's just we need to start gatekeeping.
Next episode is top 10 medias we wish we could gatekeep.
Top 10 gatekeep. Yeah, let's
top
go back.
10 movies we should gatekeep.
There needs to be so you know how when you immigrate to the United States, you have to pass a test to become a U.S. citizen? We need to do
test?
that.
Yes.
That. We need to do that, but with nerdy media. So
Are you
you
saying-
have to
are you
pass a
saying,
Star
like-
Wars fan test
So
before
you're saying
you can call yourself a Star Wars fan.
So are you saying if you have a bad Star Wars take, you should get deported from the
No,
fandom?
you're just not allowed to call yourself a fan. You can watch Star Wars. I'm
Oh
not
my
stopping you.
gosh.
You just can't call
Right.
yourself a fan. It
Oh
would
my
really
gosh.
filter out the
When
tourists,
did-
man.
When did fans become haters? I feel like we used to actually like things, and there's something to say for things used to be higher quality, but also Star Wars fans hate Star Wars.
Actually,
What
that is true.
happened?
No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
That's so true. What happened? Now, to be fair, hate the stuff that's worth hating. Hate Rise of Skywalker because
Yes,
that's
please.
Garbo. But don't hate each other. We're supposed to be in this together. We were the second we split up, Kathleen Kennedy came back. It was I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
guys.
stupid.
The second we stop fighting the corporation, guys, if you learn anything from Star Wars, is that you should always be fighting the corporation.
That's
So
true.
quit playing
So quit
semantics
playing-
with Lucasfilm
Literally,
because they
I
put out a
swear.
decent Andor trailer. Come on, guys.
Please. All right. Final news bit that we'll just touch on for a second is the new teaser trailer for Shrek 5 came out, and it bred a little controversy because the animation style was different. And I don't think that different is necessarily the issue. I think that a lot of people were upset on how the way it looked and how it looked very generic, and it looked very it was kind of Mario movie-esque type, super rounded, clean, so I don't know. It's only a teaser. They added Zendaya to the cast as his daughter, and she's the only kid we see in the trailer, which is interesting because
other
Shrek
kids
has
are
3
dead.
kids. Shrek has 3 children. Are we just kicking that out of the canon?
Yes.
And so a lot of people are kind of upset because we've waited for this movie forever, and then it looks like this, and everyone's like, how do we ugly Sonic Shrek 5? We have to get them to fix it. And I'm kind of okay, pause, because here's the thing. Shrek 1, a classic. Shrek 2, a perfect film. Shrek 3 and Shrek 4, awful. No one talks about them because they're so bad. And so, everyone's Shrek 3 and Shrek 4, awful, they're terrible. And then the studio says, okay, we're doing Shrek 5, we're going to make it a little different. We're going to update it a bit. We're what? It doesn't look like the other movies. And it was you hated the other movies. You hated the other movies. What are you talking about? So, I don't know. I understand why they have to update it. Because if it looked like the first, if you watch the first Shrek movie, you're it's indicative of the time, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It doesn't look bad. It just looks like, what was it? 2000. I don't want to say 2005. I think that's a little too early.
Hold on.
2001. Holy crap.
Dude, Shrek
It
was
looks
pre
good.
9/11. That's crazy.
It looks good for 2001. So if it looked like that, we'd have complaints. And I think that people are mad because Shrek is such a different film. It's such a different franchise that really goes against the grain of what every other animated movie was doing at the time. That's why it was so revolutionary. So to take that style that every other animated movie is doing and to throw it on Shrek feels very disingenuous. So I understand that, and I'm kind of I don't love the modern, super sleek, perfectly lit animation style, but also we're gonna get into another Minecraft movie situation where we see 5 seconds of a movie and we're it's already garbage, we're already cooked, guys, it's over, and then a real trailer comes out and we're oh, this actually looks kind of fire. Oops. And so I'm like, guys, the animation isn't my favorite either, but like, give them a minute. Like, give them like 5 seconds to figure it out and just give us a little more before we're like, I'm not seeing this. It looks like garbage. And it's like, okay, well, give it a minute. Okay, just it'll get there. Because also, think about this. In 2001, Shrek was a super edgy animated movie. I feel like animated movies, like this weekend we watched Transformers 1. That movie was edgy. That movie was
Finally,
great.
I should watch Peak, bro.
It's so good. But the movie is very edgy. Like, I'm curious to see how Shrek 5 pushes the boundary again, because the boundary has been pushed a lot further since their last movie, if that makes sense. So, like, animated movies like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, and Transformers 1, and like Spider-Verse, like they're pretty commonly swearing. Like, nothing crazy, but like they're swearing and they're doing more violence and they're doing stuff. So like, what is Shrek 5's place in that animated world where it's like, are we gonna push the boundary, or are we gonna be too scared and still do our 2001 version of pushing the boundary? So fingers crossed. I think it's gonna be good. Give them a minute, guys. End of speech.
Yeah, I don't really have a stake in the game because I've only seen the first Shrek, and even then I watched it like a while ago. Which maybe we'll revisit all of Shrek before that movie comes out. By the way, they dropped a teaser now, and the movie doesn't come out until like next Christmas, like 2026 Christmas, which is a really like far in advance time to drop.
You know, this movie's gonna have the most obnoxious marketing campaign in history.
I also saw a really interesting theory on Twitter that they dropped the trailer now, or like the teaser now, so they can gauge fan reaction to the new animation style and go from there and see, like, if people really viscerally hate it, we'll change it, because we practically have 2 years to do it. Unless they're just trying to put their foot in the door. I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, I can't think of another movie that would have dropped any kind of teaser this early.
That does feel really early. I mean, they could be giving room to correct, but the Sonic thing was such a different occurrence, because it was just, we have to change the character model. Like, that's fine. Are they going to reanimate the whole movie?
No,
because people don't like it?
Hear me out. This is my theory on the Shrek 5 trailer.
All right,
it's all a PR stunt. It's all a marketing scam. It's what they did is they said, okay, see that thing they did with Sonic? What we're going to do is we're going to animate like a section of the movie, make it look intentionally bad. And then people are going to say it looks bad. And then we're going to go to step 2. And step 2 is we wait like 6 months to a year, do it again, post it and say, hey guys, we heard your complaints, we fixed it. And now it looks more like the classic Shrek you grew up with. So cool? And then we hit the movie in December. But they never actually changed anything, because it was all the same from the beginning, and they're just trying to generate internet buzz. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I think that's a valid theory.
So,
I don't know if we'll ever know. It depends. If they change it, I think you're right. But if they don't, I think they're just going to do it with their full chest and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't
know,
man.
So, guys, thank you for making it this far in the episode. If you're not following us on all the socials, links in the description. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment or answer the question down below. Or on YouTube, leave a comment. Make sure you give us 5 stars everywhere. It's how the best way for us to grow is word of mouth. So if you have a friend that you think would like this episode, send it to them. Thank you for making it this far. We have both compiled a list of movies we'd like to preserve forever. Now, we're going to say what movies we're going to preserve, and then we're going to kind of give a little reason why. Like, what about this movie does future generations need from this film? I have about 10. Nick has about 12.
Wrong.
I'm kind of rethinking one of them. Oh?
I have 14.
Oh my gosh.
I added 2 more.
I downsized mine a little bit.
Let me clarify. My list is more, I feel like my list is going to be a little more memey than yours. There's
don't
one
know.
on here that I added it, and I was like, I have a justification for this one.
I have 2 or 3 Mimi ones on here.
Oh, I have like 5.
Is there? I'm looking at my DVD shelf.
I will also say, I think it's interesting that you took the preserve for future generations, like that kind of thing. I went more like, if an alien invasion happened and wiped out civilization, what
And
movies
this is all they
should the
got.
aliens have?
It was like, if the only contact to the human race was a movie, what movie are you choosing?
Yes, so that is how I built my list. So
Good
keep
word.
that in mind.
Good word. And if you like this episode, let us know. We love doing episodes like this, these more general lists. But I feel like this one specifically, we'd love to do a sequel for it in the future, but we won't know if you like it if you don't tell us. So
Do TV
let us
shows we
know.
preserve forever.
Ooh,
Video games we
be
preserve
so,
forever.
Ooh, so good. Okay, all
Let us
right.
know.
Hit me with it. Hit me with one.
Hit you with 1. Okay.
Hit me with 2. Hit me with 2.
2. Okay. So, when thinking about this list, I was trying to think about like quintessential, like if the aliens could only watch 14 movies,
Right.
what would they watch? Well, something that the aliens might not know about, and I'm really going to hammer this with every different video on my list, is I think every movie in this list teaches them a different aspect of human culture and human relations.
Right.
So, starting it off is a movie that I think will teach them about the true, what a good healthy romance looks like, and that is The Princess Bride. Because
The Princess Bride.
it shows them like, hey, this is what like a good, wholesome, healthy relationship looks like. A lot of action, adventure, almost swashbuckling in a way as you get from the beginning to the middle, and overall just a really good movie, and like show them the power of storytelling and how you can take a book and kind of turn it into this amazing movie that you can watch for generations to come. So that's The Princess Bride.
I like that.
Then-
I think The Princess Bride is one of those quintessential movies that you could put on any movie night, no matter the group of people, and it'll be enjoyed.
Yes, 100%.
It's a universally lovable movie.
Follow-up question. How did you so for example, if I was going to put Harry Potter on here, would you consider that one movie or 7 individual entries or 8 entries?
I
8 movies.
have a few of these that I added one of them that I'm kind of like using as like a stand-in for a franchise.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
I have a few that I'm like, I want you to see all of them, but this is the one I would add.
Okay. So
Yeah.
keeping in that, going from like the beauty of, human relations and, romantic and emotional things is something that the aliens may be very familiar with since they wiped out civilization, is aliens coming to destroy the planet. And that is going to be the first Transformers movie by Michael Bay. Because it can kind of show them that we thought this was going to happen, but we weren't prepared for it.
That's such a good word.
So
That's so good.
it'll show them like, hey, at least if you're going to do this again, try to be more like the Autobots, where you
Try to
come
be
in
cooler,
and you work
yeah.
with the people, and maybe consider turning into cars if you have that ability, like
Make
turning
yourself
into
useful.
like cars,
Yeah.
giant robots, like something that's a little more familiar and not these like green little goobity dudes.
Right.
So just a thought, but also shows them the importance of low quality, good filmmaking.
It's true. It's so true.
Where it doesn't necessarily
This is
have
such a perfect
to be
pick.
a really like good movie to be enjoyable, because
This
it
is
really
such a good
just
pick.
boils down to the over-sexualization of women, explosions, and robots killing each other. And if
What
you
else do
put
you
those
need?
3 things together, you have a patented design for success at least once.
Yeah.
If you want to make a movie franchise. So those are my first 2.
That's
The
so
Princess
true.
Bride to teach the aliens about romance, and then Transformers to show the aliens the correct way to take over a planet and destroy it.
Okay. Great start. Okay. Ready. This is, if I'm leaning in like the alien category, here's what I'm thinking. I added 2 while you were talking because I thought of more. So if I'm thinking like aliens coming to Earth and they wipe us out and they only get 1 movie to watch, my first pick is going to be Jurassic Park.
Ooh, okay.
Because, and here's my reasoning, I'm hoping that they'll think it's a documentary. And I really, really would love... I would love if, like, they were like, oh, wow, we came to this planet and we got all these humans. And it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's Jurassic Park. Wow, dinosaurs are out there? Bro, we got to get out of here. My little animation thing just turned on my computer. They're like, oh, the dinosaurs are out here somewhere. We got a jet. We got to get out of here. So that's my thought. But they could also learn how to grow up how to teach their children through Jurassic Park, because the whole point of Jurassic Park is him it's the dinosaurs, but it's also him kind of like overcoming like his barriers with like not knowing how to work with kids, and he's kind of like, oh, this is weird, like he can't, his emotional relationships are kind of severed because of this. So I feel like this is kind of a double whammy of like, maybe they'll run away thinking there's dinosaurs, or maybe we can distract them in that way to overcome, or maybe they could just repopulate with the parenting advice they learned from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I thought that one through. I really
see that.
did.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like that. The documentary thing really took me up. That's funny. Just play Jurassic Park on National Geographic.
Oh yeah, you're like.
Are you gonna do another one, or do you want me to go?
Go ahead, because I think I still think you had one more than me.
Okay, so after this, I will have 11 left.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like doing them in a double pack because you can
We
hit
can do
like
2.
2 different aspects. Okay.
We can do 2.
So this one.
So do you want me to do another one?
Yeah, go ahead. Do another one.
Okay. Another one in a similar format. Is I would give them the B movie, because I would also want them to think it was a documentary. And that's how like bees actually work, and that they would think that humans could have romantic relationships with bees. And then maybe, because if they wipe us out, humans have been all like save the bees for so long. Maybe the narrative is we prioritized the bees over ourselves. Could we consider that? Maybe we should save the humans before we save the bees. Food for thought. So, in this scenario, we're wiped out, right? Bees are there. Bees are still there, but they can only watch the bee movie. Aliens are like, these bees are like, they have souls. They're real people. They have jobs. They're working. And then they try to romance the bees, right? And that's how we take the planet back. Is aliens trying to romance the bees,
they're
because
too busy
all
with
of their
bestiality.
they're too. So I never thought that a bestiality pun would make it on this show.
Hey,
Here we
man, we're
are.
147 episodes in. You got to do something crazy.
You got to keep it fresh. So we're trying to, this is our plan to take back the Earth. But also perhaps the aliens find too much value in their work. Maybe the aliens need a little me time. Maybe these aliens could watch the B movie and understand there's more to life than just having a job. Maybe they've taken over so many planets and they're kind of burned out, honestly. Maybe these aliens are kind of like, whoa, you're kind of right, Jerry Seinfeld. Maybe I don't need to be so workaholic. And that's why aliens can watch. Got him.
From Jurassic Park to the B movie, dude.
This is a great list.
I'm loving where this is going. Okay.
This is a great list.
So, on the topic of like things that should not be sentient and have souls.
Right.
Let's also kind of scare that. Like we can take a double pronged approach here. We'll show them that the bees are terrifying because you can romance them, and more likely they'll try to romance you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll also teach them, because in the rubble and in the aftermath of like all the humans are dead, right? What's left behind but our physical possessions.
Okay.
So we will teach them that our physical possessions are alive.
Oh.
And I will leave them with the original Toy Story movie. Because it not only shows them that humans were capable of making things beyond man-made horrors, beyond comprehension, right? With Sid. But it will also teach them that they are not really aliens. They are toys, much like Buzz Lightyear. And that'll kind of give them like an existential crisis of, well, wait a minute. Are we not aliens? Are we just
being played?
Are we just being played with like toys by a higher power? But that'll also that'll cause them to freak out. But then they'll think like our toys are alive, and we'll kill them. And the only reason they haven't, and all it takes is for one like Matchbox car to like trip an alien, and they die, and that's it. And they're like, oh my gosh, these humans, they left these toys behind so that they could kill us. And then they'll leave.
Oh my gosh.
Now, kind of in a similar vein is, you know what else we'll have left behind a lot of?
What?
Not just toys, but cars. And this goes back kind of like to Transformers. But if we can teach them that the cars are sentient, this one's kind of a double whammy. Because, especially if they invade in America, this will freak them out. Because I'm going to leave them with Cars 2 specifically. For a couple different reasons. One,
big brain.
Because it teaches them that the cars were sentient at some point. And all that takes is one Tesla to be left on that drives by itself without a pilot. Or without a driver.
That's so true.
Then they'll think the cars are sentient and it's over. Next, it shows them that our cars have guns, which would imply the existence of tanks, which means the tanks won't freak them out as much and they'll probably be scared of them. Third, it will teach them about international things, because you go to like Japan and Italy and England and that's it. And the United States. And those are really the only places you need to go. Everywhere else you can kind of just leave alone, because if it's not important enough to be in a Cars movie, it doesn't matter. So that's my thought, is like you can kind of give them like international geopolitics through this racing movie.
Right.
But also show them that like don't mess with the cars because they have guns and they'll kill you.
Oh, of course. That is big brain. I like that thought. I also love that you were like 20 minutes ago were like, Star Wars is just about war. It's not that deep. And then you were like, I'm going to give them Cars too because of the national geopolitics. If nothing sums up this entire show more than that, if someone has something that sums it up more, I'd be happy to hear it. But, you know, I don't think there is. All right. Ready?
Another two.
This is one of my last sentient being movies.
Okay.
And I think it's a movie that we would have to give them to make them understand our humor in a way that just no other movie fully encapsulates by itself. And I think that a movie like this would make them go, I didn't realize humans were like that. I didn't realize this was possible. And that's a movie that I hope never dies ever. And that is the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat movie.
Oh my God.
Now, consider this. Imagine your only conception of the human race is Cat in the Hat. Mull that over. Think about what you know about the Cat in the Hat movie. Think about the clips, the memes, the videos, you know, Alec Baldwin falling into an infinite pit of purple goo, okay? Can you imagine how terrifying the human race would seem if that was your only experience with it? Because the cat is scary enough, all right? The cat is scary. And you could be like, you could go on the route of like, oh, you want them to be afraid of cats, right? in this scenario, the cats are gone too. All right, like cats ain't surviving that. So they're kind of like, oh, what's this creature? It's a giant, like, hairy thing. And they're going to think that's just what humans looked like. They're going to think some humans just looked like the Cat in the Hat. And honestly, they're not that far off. Have you ever been to Walmart? Anyway,
True.
That happens. So I think that movie would just give them a real understanding of our sense of humor in that way. Now, here's another one. My thought process behind this one was a little bit more like, I will use this movie to explain things to my great-great-grandchildren. So follow me if you will. The Steve Martin, John Candy classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, here's my thought. I think by this time in the future, like Interstellar style, I think we're going to be able to teleport wherever we want. Now, how am I going to be the crotchety old back in my day grandpa if I don't have a way to show them what transportation used to look like?
This is true.
If I don't have a way to show them how it used to be so hard to fly and so hard, like took so long to drive and there was trains, nothing encapsulates the spirit of travel and how frustrating travel is, but how it's more about the friends we made along the way than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Thank you very much.
I dig that.
Because they're just going to be teleporting. Kids these days are just going to be teleporting everywhere, and then they're going to be complaining about it like I mean, back in my day.
The aliens probably teleported here. Like, so how will they know about our masterful invention of trains?
Exactly.
So
how will they know about the Disney monorail?
That's so real.
The saddest thing about extraterrestrial life is they don't know the Disney monorail exists.
They don't know Disney, man.
Oh my gosh.
We're better off for it at this point.
But the monorail.
Okay, so we've had a little meme, right? Little meme. Let's get a little serious for a second.
All right, hit me with a serious pick.
Serious pick that I think might genuinely be, and this is kind of a cheat. It's 2, but it's actually 6, and that is going to be the entirety of Star Wars from 1 to 6. Because it is one of the greatest, most congruent stories ever told. We could convince the aliens that at some point, maybe this is like what we thought their lives were like. We were trying to connect with them through Star Wars. And we came up with Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Greatest. I'm dying. But 7 through 9 don't exist.
They don't show. No,
they don't. We didn't preserve. So when the whole planet got scorched, and everything got burned up, not a single copy of those movies is left.
Which is proof of God's sovereignty.
Yes, amen to that, man. He got rid of it. He said, "No more."
He said, "I will cleanse your sins."
So. Yeah, I don't know. I think Star Wars is a really good pick because it is one of those foundational nerd pillars. And I think even just outside of the nerd space, culturally speaking, Star Wars is a really big...
it's important.
It's a very important cultural touchstone for the last 40 or so years now. However many in the future when the aliens get here. So that's mine. I'm doing 2 and 1. Because I had Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith on here. One from each of those.
I will say, I have Return of the Jedi on my list, right? Now, I specifically chose Return of the Jedi because I think that Return of the Jedi, now, by itself is different. So think about Return of the Jedi in the full context of Star Wars, in the trilogy, but also in the 6 movies, is it's one of the cleanest, clearest, deepest, and most emotional redemption arcs we've seen in media. And I think that long term, even for aliens, aliens could be redeemed, who's to say? But also long term, when my grandchildren ask what movies they should watch, I'm gonna be well, this is a really great. There's so many great lessons to be taken from Star Wars, and I think that's part of what makes it so timeless is how it just holds up from a moral standpoint of like the battle of good and evil, and there's like all this contingency, but then like the redemption of both characters and like being called to the dark side, but like fighting it. So like I chose this in jest to be like you said, like it's one of the most like foundational nerd stories of all time. Like of course I'm gonna throw it on here, but it's also like I think that there is a lot to learn from Star Wars, from filmmakers and also from viewers, morally and technically and all this stuff that like I don't want to lose in our modern art. I would really like we can talk about how great Star Wars is, but like at the end of the day there is so much great stuff in there that we need to preserve and keep alive in our media. So that's one of mine, is Return of the Jedi. Also, a movie that I hope never dies, because I think that it's a pillar of Disney animation, and that's Robin Hood.
Ooh, okay.
So let me look at the year of this movie because I forgot. 1973. So 1973, Robin Hood animated. It is like the pinnacle of like classic 2D Disney animation. Like it is chef's kiss, the music, the characters. And I think, and I just watched a YouTube essay about this, and it was a very interesting perspective on Robin Hood that I never fully connected, was Robin Hood is one of the like strongest male leaders in a Disney film, because he is the swashbuckling adventurer. He's the, he wins the bow and arrow contest, and he's like super fun. But then if you really, really watch the movie, he is a gentle, caring, loving, almost Shakespearean character that like, when he's with the kids, he's super fun and goofy and like making sure they're okay and having fun, and like he's in disguises and stuff. But then like when they're not looking, he's giving the mom money, and he's very adult. He's very serious. He's very like that. But then like when he's talking to Maid Marian, he's like this like prophetic like lover, like very Shakespearean. And so I think that like that type of character is so lost. And that type of like, there's the moral question of like stealing, like is stealing okay if it's for good? But it's also kind of like, he is the gentle hero that we never get to see anymore. So that being said, I would love for that movie to never die and just be there forever.
That's so real. I'd never heard about that movie talked about that way. That's a very interesting perspective.
Very good perspective.
You should send me that video essay because now I kind of want to watch it.
I will.
All right. How many do I have on my list? 2, 4, 6, 8. I can combine a couple of these. When we're talking about like tentpole nerd things, I'm going to combine 3 into 1. No. I'm going to combine 2 into 1 because they kind of go together anyway. And that is going to teach aliens what happens when aliens come to Earth. Except for the fact that they've already scorched us and killed us, so it doesn't really matter. But kind of like Transformers, it's like, hey, if you ever try this again and we're ready, this is what would happen. And it's going to be the double pack of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Now, they're not going to have any other Marvel movies for context. So it is literally just these 2 movies. I'm not like using this as a placeholder for the entire franchise. No, just these 2. And they're going to have to put the pieces together and figure out what happened the rest of the way, because they killed all of us, so we don't really, we can't explain to them. But it shows them that, hey, if you come to our planet, we will fly back with you to your home planet, hunt you down, punch you in the face because you killed our wife, girlfriend, who's also an alien.
I don't even know who you are.
And then you're going to eviscerate us, which is probably what happened. So then once they get through that, I'll say, okay, guys, you know what? You've earned it. At least one other Marvel movie. And that is going to be none other than Guardians of the Galaxy. Because
yes, sir.
It is going to show them some of the best human music, some of the best human filmmaking.
That's a good word.
And some of the best Marvel. And they'll understand the hype behind, like, between Infinity War, Endgame, and Guardians of the Galaxy, they'll understand the hype behind Marvel. They'll be like, oh, I get it. I understand why these humans were into this, like, comic book Marvel stuff.
Right. Marvel
and they'll get
stuff.
it. So, and plus Guardians is, like, a little on their home turf because it's got a lot of aliens in it. So maybe there's a giant floating head out there that...
They're like, oh.
They're like, oh, guys.
Talk about representation in
That's
movies.
my home. Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
Checks at the alien DEI
Yeah!
boxes. It's
We were future-proofing, that's all.
Come on, guys. All right. So, double whammy, all right? You want to talk about sharing the best of human music?
If you say La
Let me
La
tell
Land,
you.
I'm leaving.
It's not La La Land. Don't
Okay.
worry. You want to talk about sharing the best of human music? Imagine you just laid waste to a planet, but you find one single DVD, and this is the only thing that you have to think of the human race. And honestly, if you think about it, it is somewhat, in a certain argument, painfully accurate. That is none other than Mamma Mia, the movie.
Amen.
Now, let them listen to ABBA. I think we can change them. Now, think about this, like if we're like at a standoff with these aliens, and it's like, wait, no, don't hurt him. I can fix him. And then we play ABBA. I think they would be like, hold on. This kind of goes hard.
Hold on. Give the humans another chance.
Maybe these humans aren't so bad. And then they're like, gimme, gimme, gimme. You know, that's the aliens singing. And then we can dance off just like, oh, wasting your emotions. Listen. I think the dock scene alone from that movie could save the planet.
Amen.
I think that we could. It's so fun. It's so catchy. Like, how could you not? How could you annihilate a human race when we made Mamma Mia? I don't understand how that works.
He's got a point. Let him cook.
That would change my heart, at least. My next movie is a movie that I think genuinely has the potential of falling into obscurity based on what has been going on the last few years. And this is a movie that is quintessential to modern humor. And I think that it doesn't get enough credit for what it did for modern humor. Not just this movie, but like what this movie encapsulates of a larger IP, if you will. And that is the 2014 Muppets movie. Ooh. Now, I will never let this movie die because this is genuinely one of the funniest movies ever made. And it translates so well across all generations and all cultures. Like, the Muppets are some of the most classic like comedy we could get, and I really don't want Disney to just kind of like brush them aside and be like, oh, no more Muppets 3D Vision, or like no more that. Like, I really want them to be preserved and to live on because they're so quintessential to our humor. Like, the Muppets was doing it first. Like, every single type of humor you can think of, the Muppets was doing in one of the most like creative and heartfelt ways. And so like, I hope that my great-grandchildren get to watch the Muppets. And if it's this one, like, this is a great movie, and it's kind of like a more accessible version of what makes the Muppets so great, because it has modern actors, it has modern filmmaking techniques that like hold that, but they still hold up really well. And it's a very classic movie that like is like 11 years old now, and it's still so good. Like, it holds up so well. I know the Muppets being 11 years old.
I remember seeing that movie in the theater, bro. Oh my goodness.
All right. Hit me with it.
Okay. How many do you have left?
Oh, I have to take out Star Wars. 6.
6? Ooh.
How many do you have?
I have 5.
Okay, that works because there's one on my list that I want to take off. So
okay, perfect. So
sick.
I'm thinking we do 2 and 2, and then 2 and 2, and then the final.
And then the final.
And then the final.
Okay. Okay.
I know exactly what
final.
I'm gonna. I have the perfect one for my final. I'm so excited. I think it's gonna be great.
Okay. I gotta go between 1 or 2. I gotta decide.
So,
give me 2 more.
Next 2. One is going to be kind of something that can spark the alien's ability to be creative.
Okay.
And kind of like harness that inner creativity, and how putting like walls and boxes around yourself isn't a good idea. Like let everyone be expressive, let everyone be creative, and also continue the trend of freaking them out and thinking that our physical objects in toys are alive. And that is the Lego Movie from 2014.
Yes, I almost put the Lego Movie on here.
Because listen, it's so funny. It's such a good movie about finding your place and understanding who you are in the greater context of the world, and also not restraining yourself to a box, but being creative. And everyone has a different creative style, and that's okay. Like trying to force everyone to be one certain way doesn't work. But also then they'll think all of our Legos are alive.
Right.
And all it takes
so many
is
Legos.
like a tiny little trimmer shaking an Emmett minifigure, and they're like,
"Yep, we gotta get out of here."
So
good word.
There's that.
Good word.
And continuing on the animation pipeline. This is not the movie I was going to do, but I already started my sentence. Is a movie I think. Unless you have a movie of this type on your list, I don't think we've covered it yet. And I think it's something fundamental to the human experience that we're missing and we're forgetting.
Okay.
And that is our holidays. We did not teach these aliens about our holidays, our customs, our cultures, and traditions.
I have one.
So what better than the only holiday anyone cares to celebrate, and that's Christmas. I don't know why my throat's bugging up on me today. But I think we should leave behind not only a great Christmas movie, right?
Stop.
But one that teaches them about faith and believing and understanding all of that, and also shows how freaking cool our trains were. And that is the hit Christmas movie, The Polar Express. And we are leaving that sucker behind so they can say, dang, those humans made trains. They're so cool. They got icy places up at the top of the planet, or, in the middle if you want to think the Earth is flat, which it is. You can say, dude, show them Santa. They'll think he's some kind of celestial, like, guardian or something of the planet.
Here's a question. Do you think if aliens watched the Polar Express, they'd think that some people just looked like that?
Yes.
Or based on a current theory, it sounds like they might think that.
Yeah, that's what they look like. Those were humans, not us.
Great pick. I'm gonna swap around one of my picks to fit the vibe. So I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what is a quintessential human experience that we need to convey to not just future generations, but like to these extraterrestrials? Like what do we have that they may not have? And I think what I came to is family. Maybe they don't have families, or maybe our future generations have lost the value of families. Now, here's the thing. On the Christmas vibe, I was thinking, okay, I need at least one holiday movie because it is quintessential to the human experience, is the holidays. And I was thinking, how do we share them the value of family in a realistic way that kind of shows the hardships and the issues, but also just like the unconditional love that a family can bring, that also shows them how to kick some bad guy butt. That's why Home Alone is one of the movies I would preserve forever. This is one of the quintessential child experiences, is being home alone, right? I was literally just talking to someone about this yesterday, about how like I love being home alone. I love, like, if I can blast my music, if I can, turn on a YouTube video on the TV and like just like chill and whatever. But then at night I get terrified because I'm like, someone's gonna break in, I'm gonna get shot, like someone's gonna snatch me, like super like like not valid, like valid fears, but like they don't come from anything.
I'm
so
in my
like
20s and I still feel that way.
right, literally same. So Home Alone takes that universal experience of being home alone and Christmas and being resourceful and family and all this stuff, but it's also an epic action thriller. And also, here's the thing, it is like the quintessential like 90s experience. It is like the big house with the big family and the whole like the 90s vibe. Home Alone needs to be preserved forever. Now, on a completely, like, maybe polar opposite way, as far away from Home Alone as possible, I had to choose what I consider to be one of the most human pieces of media in history. And I had to choose one that summed up a much darker side of the human experience that I don't think we've touched on yet. And I don't think that this is one that I would want an extraterrestrial life to only have, because they would have a very skewed view of the human race, but also they could get a deeper insight into our emotions and our feelings, and they could feel how we feel inside. And that's why Inside by Bo Burnham is on my Movies We'd Preserve Forever.
Yeah!
Because it is such an encapsulation of an era of life that we all had to experience that just showed it and conveyed it in a way that no one else has been able to capture. Like, Bo Burnham is truly a tortured poet. Like, he is a genius and has given us Inside as a gift, and we are just like, we just get to enjoy it. And so I hope that we never lose the lesson we learned from Inside, and just never take for granted the freedom we have to go be with people and to go hang out and to be in friendship and be in community, because Inside captures the loneliness and just the anxiety that comes from that in a way that no one else has done in a piece of art the way that I've seen Inside do it, at least for me. So, mull that over. Inside, preserved forever.
That's fair. That's so
I need
good.
it on Blu-ray, dog.
We
put
gotta
the
preserve
Inside
it
Blu-ray.
somehow.
Gosh. Netflix is just...
Okay, so this is my final two before the final. And this is going to kind of culturally could show different aspects of our history, and kind of one could show what humanity was like in the way back in the past, right?
Okay.
Almost in medieval times, if you will.
Right. Oh, medieval.
And that is going to be the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yes.
Because
Who are we to not preserve one of the greatest trilogies of all time? True.
Like,
Truth. Facts.
Put the extended editions on there too.
Factual.
They gotta understand.
Factual.
They gotta understand. You can't not leave behind some of J.R.R. Tolkien's writing.
Literally.
Like, you have to. And we're not talking about books we'd preserve, but if we were, Lord of the Rings would be in there. But since we're not, we're talking about movies, Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Peter Jackson.
And, you might be able to convince them that that's actually, like,
real,
a nonfiction story, and that it's actually just, like, our history.
Because
and
I feel like
we all
aliens
came from hobbits.
If aliens are on the Earth, like, hobbits and, like, the Shire is probably pretty low, like, pretty high on the list of probability. Like,
and here's the
that's
thing,
not even the weirdest thing they'd
They were all
see.
filmed on Earth, so they could go find these places and find them.
True.
They just got to go to New Zealand, and they'd find them.
Big brain.
Now,
and then us in America rises up because they're in New Zealand.
Yes.
Big brain.
Then, something that I think could kind of show the aliens the error of their ways and why you shouldn't, treat people poorly and you should treat them with respect and how you want to be treated and kind of like teach them that golden rule, if you will. But also be really funny and show them that maybe they too need some less than qualified henchmen to help them in their endeavor. And maybe the importance of llamas. And that is going to be the Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
We can't leave. We can't not leave behind the best Disney movie of all time. Come on, man. They're going to think it's funny. And they're going to be like, maybe we shouldn't have wiped out all the humans. Because if any of them were half as funny as Kronk, they could live and they could be okay.
So true.
But they're not. They're dead.
Oh, so
But we left them Emperor's New Groove so they could have a good time. Enjoy it. You're welcome.
Real. Okay, here's my last two before the final. All right, you ready? I'm going to leave them behind. Only one of the greatest just action comedies of all time, okay? And it needs to preserve a piece of our history that I think is already close to dying out, at least corporately in America. And that is the shopping mall. That's why the aliens will be left with Paul Blart Mall Cop, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. They'll think it's hilarious. And then they'll also have a respect for mall security guards in a way that we just don't. Because they'll think that what Paul Blart is doing is what all mall security guards have been dealing with for years. And they will gain a respect for the Segway usage and all these things and just revel in Kevin James' brilliance. Now, here's the thing. My last movie before my last movie is a recent one. Recently came out, and I think that this is a movie that we should show them because based on what they look like, what the aliens are like, but if they're like kind of like what we've had like mainstream aliens to be like, if that's true, they may feel freed by this movie. They may feel accepted by this movie. This movie could make them feel like everyone deserves a chance to fly. That's why I feel like one of the movies we should preserve forever is none other than Wicked. Because if the aliens come in and they're all green, right, they'll be like, oh, what the heck, like these humans hate us. But then they watch Wicked and they realize they could get a higher education. They could go to Shiz University. They could, be smarter, be more than they were meant to be more. They could be more. And then also they'll be like, daggum, humans can sing. Humans are good. Look at this art that we're singing. Their color grade isn't great, but daggum, they can sing. And that's why Wicked should be preserved forever.
Humans can't color grade, but you know what? They can sing.
They sure can sing, though.
Okay.
There you go. Hit me with your final pick.
We've
the
made
one
it
that's going
to
to
the
save
final.
humanity.
Well,
all right, let me hear it.
Save humanity? I don't know. So, I've looked at a lot of movies on this list, okay? Some of it is like the best of the best, like Avengers and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And then some of it's a little like more low key, a little more like low tier, like Transformers and Cars 2 and, that kind of stuff. And then some of it like has great life lessons, like the Lego Movie or The Princess Bride or even Toy Story. Like, all of it kind of blends together. But what are we truly, truly missing from the human experience? And that is more a guide on what not to do when making movies and what not to do when it comes to the human experience. And you might be thinking, what is, like, humans have made dozens, hundreds, nay, millions of movies. And you might be asking yourself, what is the one movie that solidifies all of this together and shows them if any of these aliens want to be filmmakers on Earth or on their distant planet, like, what should we not do? Right?
Okay.
What movie solidifies that? None other than the movie that intentionally probably did not mean to have the most counts of, like, arrestable offenses.
What?
None other.
What are you talking about?
Than Madam Web.
Stop.
Hear me out.
No.
Preserve it for the aliens.
It's a perfect pick.
Because they'll learn what not to do. When it comes to making movies, they'll learn that it's actually not okay to kidnap teenage girls and steal a car and cause thousands of dollars in property damage. They'll learn that it's not okay to stalk teenage girls and want to kill them because you had a weird prophetic dream that they're going to kill you, and do some self-reflection on why they're trying to kill you. It'll tell them that they shouldn't do ADR in post if you're trying to change the script around.
Yeah.
They'll show you that if you want to make a Spider-Man movie, just make it about Spider-Man. Amen.
So true.
Thank you.
Amen. Hallelujah. That's a good word. That's a great pick. All right. My final pick, and our final pick of this episode, is one of my favorite films of all time. And that's not why I picked it. I picked this movie because I thought that if aliens thought that all humans were like the humans in this movie, I think they would spare us. And I would think that not only that, I realize after talking about all these aliens for so long, I kind of crave their validation. And I think that if they watched this movie and then met me, they would think that humans were kind of cool. And they would feel that that like we could be chill. And they were like, oh, that's kind of gnarly. Like you guys do some cool stuff. Like you guys are fun. And that is none other than Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think that if aliens watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they would realize that humans are just misunderstood. And that there are enough Ferris Buellers in the world to shake it up and make it fun, and you know, we go on trips and we steal our parents' car, and they're like they experience the highs and lows of being an American teenager and capturing that experience and going out and they look at art in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they go into the city and it's the parade and it's like all this stuff, and it's the lesson of accepting who you are and just living a little and like loosening up and just not feeling like everything has to be perfect, and it's like taking that perfection away from, like, it's not your job to be perfect. And I think that if they watched that, they would understand us a little bit, and they'd be like, you know what, you're right, this world weighs on you pretty hard. And I think you guys are pretty cool. And I think you guys are going to be okay. And then we're all BFFs with the aliens, and we dap each other up. We have a secret handshake. And my best friend is an alien.
Wow.
That's my story.
Amen.
I think Ferris Bueller's Day Off should be preserved forever.
Yeah. I think that's a good list. So, as far as I know, there's a secret bunker underneath the White House, I think.
Oh, okay.
Where they put movies and like other pop culture things, so that if there ever was like a nuclear holocaust and like it killed everyone,
is this true?
They
or
would.
Is this...
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is true. I'm gonna fact check myself. Is there a secret vault?
Because if there is, like, I want to know what they're
White
actually putting down there
for movies.
Was it when, I think it was in maybe the 80s, when they sent the Beatles song into space? Do you remember that?
No, it's called
Hold on.
like, what is it called? How does capitalism work? No. How does the government preserve movies?
So we have sent 3 songs into space
No.
for extraterrestrial life to listen to. we have sent Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. That's a great song. We have sent Across the Universe by the Beatles. And we've also sent The Rain, Super Duper Fly by Missy Elliott into space.
Okay. So
What?
There
That was
are
last year. Are you
so
kidding
this
me?
is so the Library of Congress is what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where they preserve all of these movies. Now, whether or not
Mhm.
they stick them under like in a vault somewhere for
Right.
nuclear fallout prevention reasons, I don't know. I think they probably should start doing that if they don't already. However,
right.
let's pretend that they do. If they do, the movies I want them to put in include Emperor's New Groove, Star Wars 1 through 6, The Princess Bride, The Polar Express, The Lego Movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, Transformers 1, specifically the Michael Bay Transformers 1, not the animated one. We had to suffer for too long to get a good Transformers movies. The aliens do not get it that easy.
True.
The entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, Cars 2, Toy Story, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Madam Web.
W list. If I could add stuff to the Library of Congress to keep forever, to keep for future generations and for any extraterrestrial life that would come by, I would give Jurassic Park, The Bee Movie, The Cat in the Hat, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Robin Hood, Mamma Mia, The Muppets, Inside, Mall Cop, Home Alone, Wicked, Return of the Jedi, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's so fair.
Such a good list.
I'm
This
gonna,
was such
I'm
a
gonna
good episode.
call the president right now.
Right
and
now,
ask
get him on the line.
I
Get him
well, I
on the
can't.
line.
He's busy right now. I'll have to call him.
Oh,
later.
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
He
We'll
goes to a
just-
different school. You
We
wouldn't
can
know him.
wait. We can wait. Oh, you're right. Unless you have anything else to add, I think it's time to wrap up this episode.
I sure don't.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. We hope that you had such a good time. We want to know, what movies would you preserve forever for future generations or for any extraterrestrial life that you think just capture the human experience? What do you think we need to send out into the ethos, into outer space?
And if you are an alien, can you let us know what movies we need to have ready? Because I know you're coming. Just let us know.
So, please drop a comment down below if you're on YouTube or Spotify, or if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give 5 stars and follow us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast. You can follow us individually too with other links in the description on YouTube and everywhere else. So, we cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for all your engagement in listening to this episode. We will see you next time, but until then, bye!